Lauren, can you make a roll call?
Absolutely. Member Church is absent. Member McGuire? Here. Member Minor?
Here.
Member Nickel?
Here.
Member Tanner is absent, and Chair Bergman.
I am here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum, so good. The first thing on our agenda is to consider the minutes. Have you all had a chance to take a look at the minutes? And any questions, alterations, changes?
I didn't have any.
So, no?
No, so we're waiting for an estimate on the tower windows, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's gonna, I think it's gonna come back to us, but it's gonna be more aimed at the village trustees.
It is
So-
going to come back to us?
Technically, it doesn't come back to us, but we would sure like to see a report.
Yeah, I guess I just wondered if we
Well, you'll get-
heard anything. I was kind
Yeah.
of curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so,
I
Okay,
move that
so-
we accept the minutes.
so you made the motion to accept. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good, we have our minutes then.
Awesome.
Okay. Item 3, we always stop at this point for non-agenda items and visitors. We have 2 visitors. You're here about one of our houses this evening. So do we have any people online?
As far as I know, I don't
So
see
we
anyone.
don't have anybody online, so we can pass on item 3. And that brings us to item 4, the demolition review for 359 Hearst Court.
All right. I'll just give a brief description to kind of help
Okay.
give a summary here. So for 359 Hearst Court, underwent extensive fire damage to the inside of the home, and now they are trying to do an extensive renovation on the home and also add a 2-story addition. We just received, which you all should have at your
Yes.
chair too, are the plans for the project as well as the addition. So again, as of right now, we don't have a zoning analysis or know much information about how it fits in with the village's codes on setbacks or things like that. But thankfully, we do have the property owners here who are going to help just kind of give us a better idea of the scope of the project and help answer any questions that we might have.
Okay, great. Now, this is listed as a contributing home in our analysis of significant homes. Okay, just so we're aware of that. You are Igor Sharko? Come up to the podium and please introduce yourself and tell us what your plans are.
Okay. My name is Igor Sharko. It's my wife Olga. We owners of 359 Hearst. As you know, there was a fire damage to the house, and so originally we were not planning to do addition, but now since there was a damage, we decided that we have to add the addition to the house. There is it turns out that the damage inside is not very big, but still significant. So we're going to basically, we already have like first version of our plans, which shows you the extent of renovations. So we want to start on it ASAP so it doesn't stay there like that. You know, the house was in very bad shape when we bought it, terrible shape. What else? I'm not sure what else to say.
Okay. Do you know how big a square footage addition you're planning for the house?
It's less than 1,000 square feet. 700.
7?
I think that's by, like, from what my architect told me, that's what zoning will allow me to do.
Okay.
So, but we have to, you know, do zoning check.
Okay.
Because we got plans just yesterday, so it's the first version.
Well, this is the first time we've seen the plans too, so we're gonna,
Yeah, right. I know,
we're
I
gonna
know.
sort of
minute.
Sure.
tippy-toe our way through them a little bit,
So
so.
could you walk us through what your vision is?
I'm sorry, my head, I don't have very good hearing. Can you speak loud?
Could you tell us what your vision is for what you're changing?
Oh, vision.
Yeah,
So it's basically, well, the thing is that this house is pretty old. I would say the oldest I've ever seen. And the, you know, the way it's set up inside is kind of strange. So we were thinking to improve the space inside by adding the addition and making, let's say bathrooms, for example, they're very strange in there, you know, like one bathroom is like around the corner. So we want to basically add one more bathroom and, you know, so it's, and master bedroom with bathroom, so it's kind of like a more convenient, you know, than it used to be. Otherwise, we don't, I mean, the other part of the house pretty much stay the same. We don't really change anything. Just the back of the house, as you see in plans.
So you're not changing the front facade or the,
No, we're not
The
changing
front-
any front facade, nothing. We're gonna change siding, and
okay,
we want to change siding.
Okay.
Because stucco is not really, I would say, usable in this environment. I mean, it's a basically thing of the warm climate, like Florida, but not Illinois.
And-
Stucco houses going away. I mean, they not.
I see you're going to keep that bay window in the front as it was before?
bay-
Or the,
No, she's saying the size probably, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a-
yeah,
We're not changing the size of the windows, no.
okay,
No.
okay.
It is good size, really.
Yeah, it
Nice,
is.
beautiful. And inside, I still be cute on this.
Oh.
Because it is beautiful.
Is it?
Yeah, old style.
Okay.
So, except for what you're adding on, you're not really changing any of the exterior?
No,
Okay.
except, like I said, siding.
Yeah, the siding.
And the roof, obviously.
Yeah,
Inside flooring.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Roof is shingles, like if you pick the shingle, it just breaks in your head, very old.
Okay. So I do have to point out that stucco has only been around for 2,000 or 3,000 years as a building
Yeah,
material.
Yeah,
And,
Italian houses,
so-
we have Italian house somewhere where I live, it's
So-
nice, but,
like all materials,
nice, but, you know,
Right now, it is not a crop.
it
All the cracks and,
it requires maintenance.
yeah, it requires a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
It's expensive too.
Okay. Have you looked at or considered any of the historic preservation advantages that the village of Lake Bluff offers? So have you thought about landmarking the house?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I'm first time in this situation. I don't know what to say. I will have to see, we'll have to get more information on that. Like,
Okay.
what does it mean? And, you know.
Well, we've been sort of thinking that it's about time for us to put together a trifold information of what's available. There are a number of advantages that the village of Lake Bluff has implemented for, if you landmark the house, your house qualifies to be your house is landmarkable because of its age and because of the quality and style of the house.
Okay.
Okay? So in 1926, the houses that were being built in 1926, your house looks like a 1926 house. And
Yeah.
that's something that the Historic Preservation Commission is in charge of wanting to encourage.
Okay.
So when you say you're not changing the front facade of the house, and you're not changing much of the side facades of the house, then we're encouraged as far as the preservation of the house and maintaining the visual character of the neighborhood. So,
I understand. what you're
okay,
saying.
so that's,
But you know, the thing is, it looks like a modern house from outside. It looks very nice from outside.
well,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
okay.
won't be
it's-
able to tell it's 1926 house if you
Yeah.
look on the pictures. It's true, it's true. That's one of the reasons we bought it, because we thought such an old house, and it looks like it's almost like built in
Okay.
60s or something.
Well, we.
You know what
we-
I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, it's,
so,
Yeah.
it's a
I don't
very,
know if what you mean by look like one 1926 house. I mean, I don't see how it is, how
Okay.
it is different from any,
well,
you know, any
by
other house.
way of that, I have to explain that I'm in a Masters of Historic Preservation program. So the way
Okay,
I'm looking
okay.
at
I'm
things
sorry.
is, the way I'm looking at things is sometimes,
right.
what my
But I
commission,
understand the idea. Idea is nice. I understand the
Yeah.
idea.
so my
I like
commission
the
thinks I'm a
idea.
little funny from time
Yeah.
to time. So there are a number of advantages that you can look at to think about. If you landmark your house and do nothing else to it, just simply fix it up and move in, the village will grant you a rebate on the village portion of your property taxes. That is a 4-year-long rebate, and it caps out at, is it 2,000?
2,000, I thought.
Caps out at a $2,000 discount over 4 years of property taxes. So that's the first one. The second one, if you decide that you're going to remodel a house, and with all of these drawings here, we think you're about ready to remodel a house, the village will waive the building permit fees. In your documentation, there's a note in here that you're thinking that it's about $200,000 worth of expenses to rehabilitate the house.
I hope so.
Okay, so if building permit fees generally run 10% of cost, 10% of 20 grand is, I'm sorry? 3%, okay. Thank you for that correction. So it's 3% of $200,000. That's a free refrigerator, maybe a free stove or something like that goes into the house. So there's that kind of consideration. And finally, the largest consideration is the historic tax freeze.
Oh, here it is.
And if you're planning on living in a house for more than 10 or 12 years, then this becomes very important for you. You take the tax rate today and you freeze it in place. And if you put $200,000 of additions on the house, theoretically your house has gone up in $200,000 in value.
Okay.
Well, that value is kept off of the property rolls for 8 years. And then for the next 4 years, years 9, 10, 11, and 12, it comes up to the full height of the tax rebates. Generally, that's what do you think, about 10% savings on tax?
Yeah, and the other thing, it's not the rate, it's the assessment value stays at what it is before you put any of this addition onto it, okay? Then the other thing is, if houses go up, yours stays the same value. Now, the rates are subject to a lot of things, but so it goes for 8 years. My wife and I did it on our house.
Okay.
And what it takes is, this is with the state, and so you have to, there's an application, and you send some pictures and things like that, but they were very, very helpful in getting us through that, so.
Okay, I understand.
And if, I'm sorry, did somebody say it was 200? Maybe the estimate?
Estimate, yeah.
And is the purchase price right in this
It's
document?
about $450.
Yeah, so you qualify, I think it's 25%, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you might mention about the recommendation or our relationship with PCZBA.
Okay.
When-
The final factor is not necessarily it's not a direct financial offer, but it is our offer to work with you if you need zoning variances. If you end up having to go to the zoning board for a variance, we would be willing to work on your behalf for zoning variances that we feel keep the house within its historic character. And so if you're trying to put a swimming pool in the backyard, I'm not so sure we're going to help you. But if you're going to do something that requires a small zoning variance of, a side yard setback or a roof setback or something like that, we are ready and willing to step in and we would write to our counterparts at the PCZBA on your behalf. So we would be willing to go to bat for you in that regard.
Okay.
So those are sort of the offers that we have, the enticements that we have to try and get you to file the application to landmark the house.
And, okay, and I have a question. So what does it do good for the environment, for this area, if you landmark your house,
So,
for the people around you?
so the one thing it does is it maintains the street facade. It retains the street setting of the street that you're on, so that your street continues to look the way it does. What we're typically faced with is someone who wants to tear the house down and put up something that looks completely different.
Yeah,
And in Lake Bluff, we try and preserve the houses so that Lake
Understood.
Bluff looks the same.
right.
We want people to keep the trees and to keep the houses the same. It also imbues the neighborhood with a certain sense of neighborhood pride, as there are more houses that are landmarked. People are saying, this is our neighborhood. We have comfort that we know that I'm not going to get a great big box next to me, okay, so that my house is going to maintain its value and maintain its presence, as well as enjoying the beauty of the neighborhood. Now, the downside to that, okay, is that if all of these changes are subject to review, if you landmark it, as Jeff said, you would end up talking to the people down in Springfield. The office you would talk to is the State Historic Preservation Officer, and they would ask that the house retain its original integrity, so that the windows look the same, the siding looks the same, and that you're not going to change it too far away from where it looks
Right.
today.
Okay.
Then if you go to change it again in the future, if you take out a building permit in the future to paint your house, you're not coming back here. But if you take out a building permit to, let's say, change the back door or put a porch on the house or something like that, then you come back here and we go through a review process, much the same as you went through for the original work that you're contemplating now.
Right.
And to see, this is again, to keep the neighborhood in its original, or in its current visual character.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Understood.
So we try not to be too draconian about the reviews. So that's part of what our process is. Am I leaving anything out? Okay.
Thank you
So-
for your information.
Okay, so we would
I
ask,
also- I
so,
can say you draconian, they're very nice people.
okay. So there's potentially, you know, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of savings there if you want to
Right.
think about
Okay.
landmarking the house.
Okay.
And if you did that,
So it's gonna take some time to work it out with the Springfield, right? That's what you're saying?
well, you can landmark the house now, okay, and then petition, as you go down there, they will say, we would like you to keep this in place. And if you're going to change, especially the windows, if you're going to change the windows, we want the windows to look like the windows that are there, and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, we went through it, they had very little changes versus what we were planning on doing, though we weren't doing a lot with the exterior. But, you know, it wasn't that arduous of a task to get through it with them, and we never did travel down there, so we just
Yeah.
did it, you know,
Okay.
over the phone. And as my wife has said, she took a lot of pictures of what was there and what we were gonna do, or, you know, kind of explain what we were doing. It went pretty smoothly, so.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's the process. I sort of don't know what to do at this point, at the moment. Do you want to ask us to continue this process, which would be 30 days of continuance, and go back and talk to your architect and perhaps think about work more closely with the village and get a sense of what those tax savings might be? Or,
We need as soon as possible, because right now, we don't have window after, there was fire, and we're supposed to install window right away, because water came out.
okay,
Yeah, we're afraid that the water damage over the winter could potentially do more damage than, you know.
yeah, sure.
And, our first step is to basically get to the point where we can run heating. Right now, there is no way to run heating.
Okay. Well,
So,
I don't envision our part of the process taking more than 30 days. So we would certainly be trying to keep this moving along, keep it moving forward. So,
okay.
okay.
So we just received those plans today. We haven't had a chance to do a zoning review, so there could be, based off the drawings that are here today, there could be zoning relief required, which to Chair Bergman's point, it may be beneficial for you to pursue the land marking because there could be value to you in terms of getting a little thumb on the scale, so to speak, going through that process. But so practically speaking, there's not a building permit that's imminently going to be issued. So just for your sake, that I don't think you would be slowing anything down. The house is boarded up, yes?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, you know, of course, it's your decision, but it's one of those where, again, we haven't had a chance to look, we don't have all the information to even issue a building permit, so.
Okay,
Yep.
it's great to know that we're sort of hanging in the balance here, so I don't know, and an extra 30 days slows you down any more than you are already working in the process. So,
Okay.
But you're trying to get a window put in, is that?
Well, we applied for demolition permit, inside demolition. And next we want to apply for windows
yeah,
permit because, like I said, we need to be able to hit the house.
So could they not get, could we not approve
Through the windows?
this for
We
the,
don't have windows
as it
right now,
is?
everything broke.
And then
Yeah,
I
it's
think
boarded
there's,
up, but
side to move forward with that.
Of the damage.
either voted up or down.
Well, it's for him to decide whether he
Yeah.
wants to or not.
So that's
But
why,
can't we,
why I'm asking if he wants to have a 30-day extension.
no, but even if we approve this as it is, he can always come back and say, I want to get HPC, I want the. Okay.
Yeah, I drove by there today and saw.
I just
Yeah.
feel like they're rushing and
I know, but it's, 'cause it's, you know,
Yeah.
November,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
20 degrees at night,
right,
it's
right, no,
cold.
no, that's what I was thinking.
So
Maybe we
that's
could-
why I was trying to help them.
yeah, I'm thinking-
Yeah,
Could we determine whether or not the windows they want to put in are windows just like they would be taking out? Or
Yeah, this is getting,
we end up,
we'd probably have to have the demolition permit to even do that. Is that correct?
yeah, I would think you need the demolition permit in order to do the rebuild work.
But they won't be able to get that for 30 days anyway.
Yeah,
That's what Drew said.
Well, he
Okay.
didn't say not 30 days, he just said he needs to review it.
Okay, maybe he could clarify how long he thinks it would
Yeah.
take?
yeah, this is kind of middle.
given the fact that the plans have just been submitted, they haven't been looked at zoning. Seems to be a bunch of balls up in the air. Why don't we put this over for 30 days so that the village can go through its thinking process, the homeowners can go through their thinking process, and then we can get a better sense of how this all comes together. This may be that, even though the weather is right on top of us,
Yeah.
so,
So, yeah, I just talked to my wife about it. I guess we don't want to do that right now, land marking.
okay?
So, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay. So what would we like to do? So we can go through the process and ask ourselves, by going through all of the requirements, whether we think the house is landmarkable. Okay? We have a pretty good idea that the answer to that is yes. We are facing sort of the imminent question of getting the house closed in for the winter time.
Yeah, that's correct. And also, I think that really, I mean, like I said before, this house looks kind of contemporary. It doesn't look 26, you know, the way like, I know.
It look more modern,
Yeah, so.
like open really, inside is nice,
Mhm.
wood is nice.
What kind of
So
drastic changes, but
big, like
it's gonna look pretty much the same.
outside,
Yeah.
because bad condition first, because porch when we're going, it was our building. And window walls are totally, very old.
I'm sorry, was it, this, did you say you wanted to landmark?
No.
No,
you
not at
don't.
this time.
Yeah, I see, okay. All right, well, either way, if there's concern about something in the near term, getting something buttoned up for a few months, whatever it takes to get through whatever process you end up, or even waiting for a permit, we can figure that out. So I don't want to worry, put you guys under any undue pressure in that regard.
How fast would the village approval machinery, how fast does that work typically? You have a set of plans
Well,
here.
we don't have a complete set of plans. There's no site plan. We don't know if it's the setbacks are met. We don't know the tree impacts. We don't know, and in terms of, there's no mechanicals, there's no electrical, we don't know how that satisfies code. So this is not a plan set that we could issue a permit for.
Okay,
So they're incomplete plans. There's no stamp on it, and so and there's no zoning calculation. So there's work to be done. Then let's say they were complete, that would probably be ballpark 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, waiting to go through the review process. And
okay. So it's 30 days no matter what. Okay, so it's not 30 days on our side. It's just that the process is going to take that long. And unfortunately, we're in the middle of November, and we don't know what December is going to bring. So that's the owner's anxiety.
Right.
So, but what you're saying is it would take them until mid-December to have the permit process the permits available to,
I ballparking, to get through plan review, and that there's going to be, given the scale of these, there's going to have to be a fire suppression system for, the house, because the work is going to be triggering that as well. There's other sets of, mechanical sheets we're going to need, and I don't know if they've been even started yet, so I don't know. But all that would be required, given the scope of work that we're seeing.
okay.
So even if we terminated the review process, they wouldn't be able to move forward with replacing the windows until you have everything else in place?
Like I said, something is, if it's replacing windows that, to make the structure tight for a certain period of time, we can figure things out for temporary nature. We can figure things out like that.
Okay.
But that would be installing temporary heat, right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we have this furnace, so
Oh, it does? Oh, congratulations. Okay, all right. Okay, well, that gives us a little better thought, a little better view on what we should do here. I would like to see the house landmarked. I think this would be a great house to have landmarked.
Since they're not changing the facade at all, it would
Yeah.
be something that would qualify.
So, continuation?
But they said they didn't want they didn't want to pursue it. So that's the only thing. I think we need to be respectful, at least hear that. So if we,
I think a lot of their plans are still up in the air.
okay,
But he did say he didn't want to landmark it.
So, so given the fact that it's, you're 30 days in getting through the village process, would it be acceptable if we made a 30-day extension of this hearing so that you could get all of your thought processes in place, all of your bid processes, perhaps sit down and do some of the preservation math and think about some of those pieces? Would that be something that you might consider?
Ще подумаю, ти з них. So we'll have to meet again here?
So
I think
you have other
I don't
meet,
think we're gonna change the decision. I mean,
Because if this is really something, interesting, like old, I understand, I mean, this is from years old. This is look like modern, and when I change window, I know I want a more modern, and because I supposed to change anyway, I don't.
so you'll have the windows you'll put in will be weather tight. They'll be modern windows, they'll just look like the old windows.
Outside, they changed totally. They look totally like that.
Yeah.
They don't look, it's vertical.
Um,
They look like that. Because we installed for new siding. And this is,
How does siding affect the integrity?
That would have a fairly strong effect on the house.
And
So,
it sounds like they're pretty clear that's what they want to.
all right. So, what are our thoughts at this point?
I'm trying to think. I could come up with a number.
He's calculating.
The tax savings,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. I
what do you
think that
come up with?
If they, and I don't know how they reassess it, but I heard a lot of assessments went up this year. Is that right? See, they went
Upwards of 20%.
upwards of 20%. So, I don't know what their valuation is, but if it went up 20% on 500 times the rate, which is, I just had it, but I had on 200,000, 5,000 a year. I know where you're leaning, and it seems like we gotta be saying, this is a really good thing.
Yeah.
It
This is a kind of a laydown. We got a landmarked house. They're gonna spend more than the 25%. This is like right up our alley.
Yeah.
Oh, unfortunately, they didn't get the information
Until right
early
now.
on.
Right.
So
But-
they're being asked to make a
But in a
decision
way-
in 2
No.
minutes' time.
Yeah, no, I got
So-
that.
That's tough.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
but if we were to terminate the review, that doesn't preclude them from moving forward with this.
That's true.
So I feel
With the
like,
landmarking? Or
right, because nothing has been set in stone. So I feel like
You're right, yeah, they can
instead of,
apply if they change their mind.
yeah,
They can reapply.
and we can maybe have a meeting if they would be interested.
To meet with Paul and
Yep. If Paul would be
Mr.
willing.
Finance here?
Yep.
Bring my wife.
But to have a conversation that's
Yeah.
not in an open forum.
That's a good point
under
to,
pressure.
Yeah, I
can-
think that's right.
And then maybe they would be willing to come back and do it.
yeah.
So, someone make a motion then? You can have the green, the yellow, or the red.
Motion to terminate the review?
Yes.
Where's my green?
I move that we terminate the
Oh.
review.
I second.
Okay. We need a roll call vote, or can we do that on a voice vote?
Do a voice vote.
Voice vote? All
Okay.
in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. We have moved to terminate the review, so you may go forward with your plans. We would ask in the middle of this process that you stop and look at the advantages of landmarking the property. Jeff did a quick calculation here while we were
Very
talking.
quick.
He thinks, based on the experience he has with his house, that it's $5,000 a year on your property taxes for 8 years, plus 2 more, so that's
Yeah, they,
10 times $5,000, $50,000 tax savings, along with the building permits and some of the others. So,
Drew, maybe you know, on a property assessment, when somebody does an addition and you have all permit information and stuff, how many years does it take before that's added in? Do you know?
For the longest time, it was 3 years before it was fully realized,
Yeah.
100% of those additional improvements. I'm not exactly certain.
No, well, that's fine, but it's also the general appreciation that you're dealing with.
yes. So,
Compounding benefits, to
Yes.
your point, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Can I say?
yes.
yeah.
Okay, so, while you see your house as modern and we see it as beautiful, it's historic to Lake Bluff in that it's been the street facade for years, right? And so that's what our commission is here to protect and educate. And so as a property owner, we value your opinion, but we would love to spend time when it's not in an open forum to work with you, to educate you on like what your goals are, to see if, because it may be, you may be completely aligned, and then this is just a great benefit and a positive one for you. But as you go through and develop this, I think we would welcome the opportunity to review it with you. So it's positive for you.
Yeah. So, thank you. We're at a conclusion point here. You have your termination. You can move forward.
So,
Thank you. Good luck to you. I hope we'll get to talk to you again,
Yep.
outside of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either one.
Come back and see us. Okay. All right. We need to start working on
That little trifold?
a little trifold and working on having the conversation before we get to this hearing point.
Yes.
We have a disconnect going on here that we need to resolve, I think.
And they were a little ahead to us, aren't they? Because normally they're we see the plans that are.
Pardon me?
Don't we normally see the plans that are approved?
Yeah, I
in our
was kind
meeting?
of surprised.
Yeah.
no, there's no requirement to have plans.
Do we normally, see approved plans in this meeting?
No.
No?
So this is literally, the plans showed up today, right? So there's been no evaluation.
Right.
And the scope of work is still unfolding, right? We knew that there was interior renovations, but the addition, the first look today was today. I mean, the idea of an addition, that's all new information. So this is literally unfolding, so it's not
But-
ideal, because my guess is the plans are gonna change even more.
But
if I
I
had to
heard them
guess.
say it was 400 additional square feet or so.
700.
Whatever,
700, right.
But it was within already the zoning approval, so they weren't asking for.
According to their architect.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But what I mean is,
Yeah.
for the cost of doing a renovation, going to 1,500 square feet might be a better value for them, which if it was historically landmarked, they could potentially get that variance.
Yeah.
So, there's just
Yeah.
they're just, in my opinion, I felt like we were, anyway, it needs to be a conversation, not at this
It'll happen
meeting.
for certain at staff. We'll sit down, and once we're gonna have to sit down with them to review the full scope. Like I said, like there's a lot of missing parts.
Yep, and
So-
they didn't, yeah, I think there's still an opportunity to educate them on the value, because you laid it out
Agreed,
very well.
agreed,
But
yeah.
they were going against a timeline, and they weren't gonna, so, in my opinion,
Yep.
all right.
So we need to make some changes on our end, and hopefully they'll come back to us. So, yeah.
I don't know if we need to make changes. I think it's just a matter of timing on how this is unfolding, so.
Okay.
Unfortunately, a little clunky, but
Yeah. So there's not a requirement that they have the architectural drawings in order to submit a letter of intent?
no, the LOI and the questionnaire talks about it says, do you have plans? It doesn't say you have to have plans. And I think that's okay, because it's, I think it is. It's the way this, I was just actually sitting here thinking that when this process has changed from what it used to be, you would literally, prior to the most recent amendments to this process, they would have to submit a complete demolition, like from a construction level drawing, like show us where you're gonna put the fencing, show us where you're gonna put your, your Johnny on the spot. I mean, it's like unnecessary for this level of review. And it forced people to spend a lot of money unnecessarily in some cases because they chose not to demolish or they did different things, right? So it was just an unnecessary step. This is a high level, what are your intentions? What are your goals? Can we find alignment, to your point? And this seems like there's a lot of alignment here, right? So maybe there's a way to, find a way to get this landmarked.
And still get them.
Get them
like
what they want,
windows.
get the village, yeah, and it marries, but, so.
Okay, so
Okay.
that resolves, this is what, item 4?
Yes.
33 East North.
Yep. So,
Now we get to item 5, the demolition review at
Now I know what this one
33
is.
East North Avenue.
You do know what this is.
yes.
Yep.
So, last month, the village bought the property, 33 East North Avenue, and currently none of the potential future uses of the property really involve any of the existing structures. So therefore, the village board is initiating sort of a demolition review to better create improvements to the property for future land uses.
Okay. So, what are the planned, any ideas what the future land uses are?
Not yet, nothing certain, nothing written in stone. When the village acquired the property, it was the idea of, could the village do multifamily? It's zoned multifamily, it's in the R5 district.
Okay.
The village has been going through its comp plan update, and it's talked about having more multifamily product, coupling that with the lot to the west. Maybe there's a more attractive site there for a developer. Alternatively, the village could keep it green, keep it an open space. The village could also make way for additional parking related to the CBD. There's lots of choices. The village has engaged in this exact type of economic development tool called land banking. Over the years, the village has several parcels, I shouldn't say some parcels around town. There's some on Block 1. We own the property directly adjacent to the west.
Well, that was a small house at one point, a little ranch.
Where the walnut lot is today, yeah. But we also own where the garage is right now, right, the wooded lot. So contiguous property owner, it made sense for the village to go out and grab this and either sit on it a while or issue an RFP or try to, couple it with other properties along the same block. So it opens the door for future redevelopment of that block.
Okay. Any idea how fast it's gonna come down? I mean, will you take it?
This
will
is
you-
step one.
So step one, so does that mean that essentially you want to clear the lot by January 1st, or, I mean?
The idea is to take it step by step. The village has not solicited quotes or proposals for the demolition work yet. We're going to go through this process, and I report back to the board what happens.
Okay. So,
Is it inhabitable now?
It's been a property, it's been a rental property for years. I think it is in pretty bumpy shape right now, and the village the village board didn't indicate a desire to be a landlord. And so.
you're not going to get that far into the real estate business?
No, sir.
All right. Is the garage at all usable?
The garage is worse shape than the house.
I mean, can you park a car in there or not?
Not a car you like. I actually have never set foot in it. Mike Croak has and Jake has, and
Okay,
yeah, I have not been in.
okay. I didn't go and poke around in there, so I
Okay.
didn't. Okay.
It is secured, and it is winterized. It's ready to go for if it sits for a while, so.
Okay, all right. So here we have another landmarkable house in Lake Bluff that is part of the landscape, it's part of the neighborhood. It's compatible with the houses across the street from it. Not as much as it used to be, but it's compatible. And it's gonna be difficult to tell the village no. So
Is it historically significant?
it's rated as a historically significant house. It's rated as a contributing house.
As a Foursquare, but not the finest Foursquare in town.
No.
Sometimes the village managers live in pretty fine Foursquare.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So, you do have a handsome house. This is what makes this house, this is sort of a simple, American Foursquare style house. What makes it interesting to me is the, cinder block, stone work on the outside of it. Between that and the maple, the little maple house, the side house, are matching, and they do have that sculpted stone configuration to them. It doesn't have the typical American Foursquare porch to it, but it does have some other nice aspects to it. And I think it has a very nice presence on the lot. I like the way it's sort of set up on a terrace piece of that, sort of taking in the rolling nature of the, not that we think of Lake Bluff as having hills, but
Gentle slopes.
That's the only hill we seem to have.
Geographically deficient.
Yeah.
It's our only shortcoming as a community.
Except for the ravines,
The Bluff,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bluff.
lakefront, that counts.
So, what are your thoughts, gang? What,
I thought I read, or someone told me that it was the first or the only cinder block house in town. I don't think of any, can't think of any others. I
okay.
don't know where I saw that or heard it or read it.
Well,
Do you know anything about that?
I know that the stonework, having the stoniness on the outside of the cinder blocks was something that was very popular.
Oh.
Yeah, when they figured out how to do that, when they figured out how to make cinder blocks and then how to make it with a face front on it, that became very popular in 1920s, 1910s, 1920s. And then it's sort of gone out of popularity, but you can still today get awful lot of textured cinder block walls. So, but I don't know that that's the first house or the only cinder block
No,
house in town.
I don't either.
So, what do you think?
It's contributing but not significant, if I understand that correctly. The owners,
Yeah, there you go.
sticker. The owners are not interested in landmarking it. What would be the impact if we were to landmark it? It still can come down. But then could that inform some of the material that a new development would use to carry that historic element forward?
One, I don't know that a developer would pick up the
Yeah.
same fronted brick face. I don't know that there'd be a linkage between landmarking it and having a developer use that kind of stone, stone face.
Right. So there are certain needs that this community needs today that are different from the past. And so that property what it's becoming is a great location for the opportunity to meet current day needs for this community that are different from historic preservation. That's not our job to evaluate, though. Our job is to evaluate the historic elements. To me, it looks like a very tired home. It is a charming home from the outside, but if the owners aren't interested in bringing it to a livable,
Standard?
thank you, then I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not answering a question, am I? I'm just talking.
Okay, so, everybody's
an answer.
opinion is important here, so.
Yeah.
Jeff, what are your thoughts?
I think, based on the cinder block work and stuff. It's unique house, and I think the way it sits back is nice, but, I mean, to be honest with you, the inevitable is that the owner wants to demo it. And, you know, I don't know. It's one of those that I don't know whether we get in front of it or not.
What would it take to convince the village to save the house?
Has there been any thought to that?
We can't offer you any tax incentives.
It's a good question, and I don't know that, I know I don't have an answer for it. I think there have been, I'm trying to think, so the properties that the village has land banked over time usually involve the demolition of the structures that are there. Part of that's a liability issue. The village doesn't want to, worry about having facilities that people could access or try to access, or, twist an ankle on a site. It's just, I guess if the structure was in a state or was designed in a way that may lend itself to being redeveloped in some other way, I think this is a little limiting the way it's constructed, and that's just the way it is. I mean, the village has held on to the Walnut House garage because it's the functional downtown closet, right? We use it for storage. Yeah, we use it to put in. It has utilitarian purposes. It's very small, inexpensive to maintain. The village is going to have to put a sprinkler system in that to meet our own codes sooner rather than later, even though it's not occupied, unless we get granted relief from the Architectural Board of Review, who has the authority to grant that relief. So there's additional cost to maintain a structure. It's a lot of cost avoidance and risk avoidance is really what's driving it. Yeah. If it was, again, if it was maybe situated differently, or perhaps it could, be worth saving the shell to try to see if it can be repurposed. But my experience is developers like a blank slate. So assuming that that's what the village ultimately does with it. But that, again, that's been the past practice. Actually, the past practice has been to sit on it and hold it for an extremely long time. And that's maybe what happens here. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate that. So, all right. Lois, comments?
Well, I know that there are, and again, this is probably not under the purview of this, but commission, there are the Lake County, I wrote it down, Partners for Affordable Housing, has worked with some neighboring towns, cities, to rehabilitate existing homes for affordable housing. It wouldn't be multifamily housing. It would be a single family that would move into them. Are you familiar with that process?
I am.
Is that,
The trust.
yeah, they would own the land, and then the homeowners
They would manage the property and.
yeah, the homeowners then buy the house and they own the house. Is that anything that would ever be considered? That way the home would be maintained, but it would be single family, not multifamily.
The village has an affordable housing plan that doesn't contemplate that, I guess, programmatic approach. And the village has actually received a presentation by that group, and along with some of their board members, I want to say a year ago or so.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit longer, but so that's been talked about, but there's no specific objective to move to that level of programmatic support for affordable housing.
Just a thought of a way to maintain some of the
Yeah.
historic homes.
Okay. Well, we're all about the visual character. So,
It doesn't sound like there's urgency to this review.
Other than, again, removing lowering risk and liability for the village.
Okay.
But there's nothing, we don't have a building permit submitted to demolition, you know,
Okay.
this was the board's direction says, let's take it step by step.
Okay.
So here we are again at this point of, do we want the green option, the yellow option, or the red option here? What are our thoughts here on trying to explain to the village that they can't tear their own property down? So,
So, given the fact, though, that they don't have a definitive plan, it doesn't seem like it would be a hardship to do a continuation until they and have additional discussions. I know you're shocked by me saying that. Because one use case could be, you know, a single-family home or whatever. I doubt that's where they're gonna go, but at least to have that discussion, because this is relatively new. Is it not a relatively new development that the house was purchased?
I think it's in
Less than a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how long have you been looking at the house? And I realize
About a month ago.
fast. Okay, all right. Because the house has been on the market for a while, hasn't it?
No,
No.
Oh, okay.
it was not on the market that long.
Oh, okay.
The scoop.
Scoop and grab, huh? You're like,
Nimble Village.
okay. All right, so Margaret has thought about asking for a continuation. Lois, what do you,
Well, certainly I would support that. I guess I would ask the village manager what the village might do during the month to explore any other options. Would the village do that, the village board do that?
It's possible. There's nothing immediately on the upcoming agenda to do that, but there could be. But you know, at this point, to use the housing trust as an example, I mean, the idea of like doing that, likely the village moving in that direction would extend longer than the demolition review period. If experience tells me anything, with the village pursuing a program of that nature, of that, you know, commitment, that would take a good while,
more than 60 days?
for sure,
Okay. Especially
especially during
coming,
the holiday season.
coming up through the holidays. That's not, okay. So,
And the signs that have been around about multifamily housing, is it a true statement to say that was really the driving force to?
It was one of the factors. I mean, I think there are, the village has not received cold calls about that site, and the village, and it is, it's so new that the village acquired this, I mean, the village would, that is a distinct possibility, and in fact, the village's planning consultants, Tesco Associates, there was a very brief conversation, the comp plan's being updated right now. I believe I asked the question of them, hey, this is a site that could get redeveloped, and the idea came back, well, the planner's recommendation to the Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals was, well, you're trying to solve multifamily. Of course, multifamily would be the highest and best use for that site, given it's already zoned that. And at the same time, they also said they were open to institutional use. So like if the village or the library or the history museum wanted to have something there, that would be something that they would be open to. I don't think the adjoining residential properties would want something that felt in scale or intensity of use much different than a single-family home. So an idea of having, you know, some sort of drive-through facility for retail would be problematic. But something that's a
You're
little
not
more
gonna
quiet.
You're not gonna get a drive-through bank on that lot.
I don't think there's gonna be a drive-through bank anytime soon anywhere.
So, I mean, if we-
Yeah,
so if
yes,
we just-
yes.
we- we
We
can
have
Our cup runneth over.
Yes.
But we're certainly not gonna have a drive-through McDonald's there. We're just,
No.
you know, like.
Traffic count's way too low, never gonna happen.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Right.
So I was just thinking of drive-through facilities.
Yeah, just something in a higher intensity of use than an institution.
Yeah.
And by that, I'm not even talking like, you know, not the high school, not something like that, but something low-key.
So you-
That's palatable, I think, to the neighborhood, but it hasn't been really discussed to any great degree other than a question in one hearing.
Yeah. So we don't know the possibility of a two-story residential condo building on that property. So there's one of those, at least one of those floating in front of the village right now, so.
That is correct, next week, for a property that will ultimately come to you as well,
Oh my, okay.
because it's 52.
52 years old, that, wow.
All right, so, all right.
So-
I worked on the construction crew that built that building. So,
No child labor laws apparently at the time.
thank you. Touche. So,
You know, I had a question. The property in front of the empty lot, the village owns that in front of the
The property
Walnut?
due west.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And if you looked at that plot there, it's about half and half, this one, and half what the village already owns?
you know, it's two
Sorta.
lots, yeah.
Okay.
And that's the walnut.
Yep.
The Walnut
right here.
House, yes.
Yep, yep.
Essentially, it's two 50-footers. Two 50-footers, both are 175 feet deep.
Yeah, okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would appear, if you're just looking at it, that the garage at the Walnut House belonged to this property, just visual, right?
absolutely.
But for whatever reason, it doesn't. And
Okay.
at some point, they were separated.
Okay.
Well, we had a number of those in Lake Bluff where, I call them little mini estates. So that you'd have the nice house on one lot, and then you'd build a small little garage with an apartment on the side lot. And so there's one, there were two of them at Evanston and Scranton. And one was on the south side of the street. The house faced onto, the big main house faces onto Center Avenue. It was the Revenaugh's house when I was a kid. And then there was a small little cottage, two-story cottage. You drive under the building, the car would drive under the building and park underneath in the basement. And then the apartment would be above that. Then directly to the north of that, in the lot that's currently vacant, there was another building there, which was, again, one of these very small buildings, one-stall garage, little apartment on the top. That was for the maintenance guy who kept the coal fires fired up at the children's home, which was to the east of that. And then there was other ones down closer to the lake. There was down one in Jeff's neighborhood, down in your neighborhood. So you'd have the house with we'll call him the house man lived there, and he would be the chauffeur, the gardener, the guy who did all of the storm windows and all of that heavy work and stuff. And maybe his wife would actually work in the house. And then over time, those two properties ended up getting split away from each other. And so this, I think, is the last one of those, but very much so. You can tell by the brickwork
Yeah.
and the style of the windows, the roof overhangs, that it's all built by the same hand, so. The village is actually reuniting the two properties, and I think if somebody went and did some title research up at the county.
We'd find out, yeah.
You'd find out in, 1910, it was one single property, and then by 1925, it got split apart or something like that. So, okay, so,
So, Chair, just for clarification, Drew, the treed area, is that part of the property, or does the village already own
The
that?
village already owns that.
Yeah,
That's part of the walnut house.
the Walnut House.
It's part of the
Yeah.
Walnut House?
Yep.
What is the village's commitment to or thought about saving trees?
The village has, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if that was rezoned or Rio or not. I can't remember, but it's, the village has done its best to maintain the trees by taking care of them and giving them, that has been, like I said, the village history has been to buy and hold. We haven't been aggressively issuing RFPs for additional, redevelopment. So we've been trying to take care of the trees. So there is, I know for certain on Block 3, on the easternmost parcel, the village's comp plan talks about trying to preserve that as greening. I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Yeah.
And those trees aren't in superior condition either, right? Some of them are kind of topped and not in the greatest health. These trees are pretty good health.
Yeah, these trees are in better condition.
Yeah.
So, something we all need to do in Lake Bluff is feed our trees, so, go out and fertilize them. Okay, so that brings us back to the question here. Margaret has suggested that we continue this. What are our thoughts on a continuation?
Bill, I thought you'd go the other way. I kind of feel like this one's more inevitable than any of the other ones we've even talked about, so I'm not quite sure. I don't know what 30 days it's going to give us, but.
Okay.
I thought the last one was not a 30-day.
Aren't they?
Yeah, they're all
always
30.
They are.
Yeah, the last one said something different, but.
No, it all says the same thing. That little box is the same each time, so.
Right.
The red.
No. The pink and the yellow are slightly different.
So, Lois, what are your thoughts?
Well, of course, I would love to see the home stay, because I think it adds to the character of the village, which is what the village is all about and why people move here, because, well, a lot of reasons, but because of the character and charm, and that adds to it. I feel, we can't know, but it kind of seems to be headed that way, that it won't be maintained. I would I would like the village board to know that it was difficult for us, that, we
That's right.
we're on the commission because the village passed an ordinance to maintain these homes, and it's a difficult decision whenever we terminate reviews, but I don't know that this will be any different 30 days or 60 days from now. To terminate just because of that, maybe. I don't know. I'm conflicted. I'm very conflicted.
That's the conundrum we face with our ordinance. Okay?
Yes.
So, but we can't change our ordinance tonight, so.
But if it's landmarked, it can still be demoed, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But we do not pursue landmarking unless the owner supports it, right?
And/or good cause to, yeah.
I'm sorry, Margaret, what?
So I'm good either way, right? But one thing I thought I heard him say, one possibility would be to do a development where the facade stays. It's possible, we don't know what the plans are though, so.
They don't know,
The
right?
only reason I brought that up as a continuation is it seems like it creates opportunity, a choice, where if we terminate it, I guess maybe the choice is still there, but.
I would support your suggestion.
Those comments, just like the idea of considering, handing the keys over to the trust as an affordable housing option, I'm happy to deliver the other alternative, saying the village should, if the village chooses to issue an RFP for redevelopment, to keep the property in place to see if that's something a developer would be willing to try as another alternative. And happy to deliver that.
How would that work?
The village would mothball it until a decision was made to issue an RFP.
Okay.
Market conditions were right, and the village actually, completed its comprehensive land use plan or got clear enough direction from the plan commission about alternative uses in the future to get that on the street and see what people said.
Because the village could also come back and say it's not viable to keep it up, because there could be vandalism or whatever, or
It's a higher risk,
the risk
too much
is
liability.
great.
Yep.
So it has to, and then, I don't know. I'm blurring the lines of what our,
We get
Obligation.
getting a little hazy here. Yeah.
yep.
Okay. All right. Jeff, what's your final
Well,
comments?
I can go either way. I was just thinking that this is one that a lot of times, there's been a couple demolitions we've had, but we kind of knew what was happening to it, And so I don't know if you're joking, but you did say parking lot. That's not going to make me.
I don't think it's going to be a parking
I
lot.
know, I know. But my point is this is just kind of, we don't know. When the Aherns were in here, they were talking about one house and the parkland and stuff. And so that helped us get over the hump. And this is like, we don't know.
And the history is a green spot, right? That's the history, the corner of Block 1. We put trees there and a fence to make it look like a continuation of the green belt.
Yeah, yeah.
The village is 10 acres on the west, it's open field, so that's
Yeah, well,
been,
and
that's been our MO.
Yeah,
right?
and that's exactly where I'm at. I think if somebody told me it was going to be a park,
Yeah.
I'd go, yeah, okay.
Let's do it. Okay. So, continuation, 30 days? Yeah, okay. So do we have a motion for the 30-day extension?
I move that we do a continuation.
Okay,
I'll second it.
second, okay. Voice vote, okay. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Any opposing? No? We have a 30-day extension. So, great.
We'll see you next month, you'll have a quorum.
Wait, is it, but,
Drew, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, appreciate it.
is it the yellow one that it just lapsed after 30 days, or do you,
No, he'll come back here and talk to us in 30 days, and we don't know, the village may
We
have.
may not have any new information.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
Or
right.
you might have justification that there's urgency.
Doubt that I will, but.
okay,
Okay.
well, good, all right. Drew, while you're here, in our package, I don't know if Lauren or Drew wants to talk about in our package was the Stonebridge.
Yeah, I think that was actually an accident, but I'm happy to tell you
Yes.
that there's nothing new going on there.
Despite
There's
all of the
really
wonderful
not.
paper
Yep.
we got, okay.
Yeah, I mean, this was relating back to the settlement agreement, just house cleaning stuff that, updating the plat, a new plat, giving it the clean slate, going down to the 5 lots.
Okay.
It was done previously, there were some changes in the engineer's notes, required us to go through the process again. That's all it was.
Okay, just clunking along.
Yep.
Okay, all right. I'm pleased to see that our easement on the front seems to remain in place.
There are protections on the front, yes.
Okay.
And should a developer come through with a new plan, then we would have to, the village would have to, renegotiate that with a new plan, but I don't know why the village would not try to keep doing that.
Yeah, okay. Sometime it would be nice to ask any new developer to put the stonework back on the bridge. They peeled I think 2 developers ago.
Yeah.
They peeled the stonework off the sides of the bridge, stonework facing. And I think that stone is still on the property. It got
And a
distributed.
pallet, I was thinking the same thing, it's still back in the back.
Yeah.
I think it's still there, I don't know.
And it would be nice to find a mason who could put all of that back up.
I'd
It
be
was-
surprised if anybody invested anything unless they're really gonna
Well, sure,
step on the gas, but,
but it was a charming little bridge.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
back in its day. So, do you have any other report, any other information for us?
Yeah, pretty brief information, but at least in the last kind of agenda item is just looking ahead to next year. Pretty much the same schedule as we've had, second Wednesday of each month, as long as we have a quorum. And so mark your calendars.
Okay.
Exciting things ahead, and
Always exciting.
no, always good things. And as far as I know we sort of mentioned in previous meetings, the National Historic Preservation Commission, as far as I know, that's still set for February timeframe. I was
Okay.
gonna say spring, but it's still winter here, so.
Right, okay.
And Claire is coming back on Monday too, so that's
Oh,
very
good.
exciting.
All right. Do you have a mom report? How's the baby and all?
Baby Callum is adorable.
Okay.
Sounds like he's sleeping through the night, and
Oh, well.
yeah. so-
Hopefully she is
She'll be
too.
ready.
Yes.
How long is he?
Yay.
How old is he?
He 3 months now.
3 months?
That's about right, yeah.
Born in end of August.
Yeah,
For 3 months.
okay. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone's healthy, everyone's doing really well, and
Okay.
And she's ready to come back. Importantly,
With 4 boys.
yes.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be, right?
So it's a very busy household.
Yeah.
So the only report that I have is that I talked to Kathy Cerniak about the camp process and got the same information that you did, that they're trying to work on it, trying to schedule it and get it put in place. It would be the better part of a Saturday morning, and it's, having done this program probably 10 or 12 years ago, it's a really well worthwhile half-day program.
Was the last one at the college?
No, it was out at the,
Deer Fest?
it was out at the new facility, the new Lake Forest facility out.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the name of it, out on Field Drive.
Yeah.
And they have a nice big conference room there. There were, the Lake Forest HPC was there, members of the Lake Forest ZBA were there, and then some Lake Forest officials, the mayor did a walkthrough and whatnot. The Lake Bluff HPC was there, some members of the Lake Bluff PCZBA, I don't know if it was ZBA back then, but the ZBA people were there, and
Staff was there.
Staff was there, and whoever was president at the time, I think, came and walked through. So we had a nice long, it's a multifaceted program. There's about 6 different components to it. You stop and have a box lunch, and then have 2 more components, and it's a quite thorough program. It
And
takes
does
you, takes you
Kathy
through the
facilitate?
law, it takes you through how to be a good board member, what you're supposed to do when you're sitting on this side of the dais, what you're not supposed to do, which is an interesting concept of what you're not supposed to do, and then a great big grounding in historic preservation principles, then done with a bunch of examples where you are given, they paste examples up on the board, up on the walls, and you're given 2 minutes to analyze this historic preservation question, and you're given the guidelines for that unit. So you get the city of Beloit, here are their rules, look at this is what they're proposing, make a decision. You got 90 seconds to do that. And it's a very fun process to go through, because it's very fast and subject to all sorts of, discussions and smart aleck comments and stuff, so.
So does Kathy facilitate it, or she's hosting it?
Kathy Cerniak, the city of Lake Forest would host it.
Okay.
And so I can, as you can see, I'm a big supporter of the program, so. And actually, I attended an NAPC Zoom webinar today on preservation law. So I did that. They have a lot of lunch hour programs also, which I did this morning. So, so I'm, as you can see, I'm a big fan of the NAPC programs. So that's my report, and I think that's about it. Anybody else have any comments?
I did drive by remember the house they're demoed the little greenhouse and they're gonna put the garage next to it? They did a really nice job of matching that up.
That's on
North Avenue.
North, yeah, it looks really nice.
It does.
The Gores.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked by, I was so surprised to see it. It looks nice.
Chair, you brought up a trifold. Is that something that we could look at more or move forward on? For something to be given to people when they first, a trifold talking about the incentives
Yeah, I
that the
think-
village
I think-
offers, that we could give to people when they first walk in and want to look at demolition, our realtors could give to prospective homeowners.
Well, we need some sort of advertising vehicle to get out the fact that there are incentives available
Yeah.
for this. So.
Yeah.
Because
Village
it could even,
website,
yep.
it's all there. And,
Okay.
yeah, print is so expensive
and
and,
it changes.
yeah. So I point people to the website frequently.
Okay.
So when they apply for demolition, do they get the link?
They get usually a sit down or a phone
Okay.
call and say, hey, here's what it is, here's the information.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So was it the first time they?
This was unique,
Okay,
Okay,
an anomaly.
okay. All right.
okay. Yeah,
Because we
that's a good
had-
question.
Who did we have last month? That they were, I think it was the people at Shore Acres that didn't have any understanding of that also, or didn't appear to have any understanding of that, so.
And how are we, so, there was that website that had all the parcels and then you could click on it.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was there was a little instability or bugginess for a while. Is
Those are
that-
worked out.
They're all good?
Yeah, in fact, the first petitioner tonight, they had submitted information and the first, it was like a month ago, no, less than a month ago, and said, your application is incomplete, this is where you go. We walked them through it, how to get there, here's the link, oh. And then, talked them through it, so,
Okay.
Okay, good.
and that's what was used. I know Clara used it to write our
Sure.
letter of
there it is.
intent.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Could we attach that to the bottom of the Friday email to remind people that it's there?
We can remind us there for sure, yeah.
Okay. Kind of a did you know?
Go take a look, go get lost in it.
Yeah.
It's really easy to do.
People like that.
Guilty.
So,
Yeah.
go take a look at your neighbor's property values, yeah. So, okay, so, any other comments, great thoughts? So, motion to adjourn? Okay,
Second.
all in favor? Aye,
Okay.
we are adjourned. Good.
Still
Thank
need
you.
another member, though.